Welcome to the Mighty Emotions Podcast. I'm your host, Giselle. In each episode, we're going to explore how to face your feelings and get your needs met so that you can live your best life. Today's topic is something that's going to support you if you struggle to be consistent when it comes to achieving your goals. So, if you are the type of person to set these grand goals at the beginning of the year and then completely forget about them halfway through or even 2 months down the line, or you decide I'm going to create this plan, this schedule, I'm going to have these new habits because you really got into atomic habits and then you kind of fell off and you stopped following those habits. This topic is the key and essential ingredient that I want you to think about. It's a guiding foundational principle to help set you up for success when it comes to goal setting. And I can talk about this because as a manifesting generator, I have struggled so much with rigid schedules and sticking to things and being consistent, even when there are things I really want to get done. I love to multitask. I love flexibility and fluidity, but I've come to realize that working with that rather against that is important to success. So today's topic is about hard versus soft structure. And I'm going to get into what that means in a second. But if you are currently using the Notion template that is free that I've created for you, it will be linked below in the description. You're already implementing this just based on how the system has been designed, right? I designed the system using a combination of positive psychology as well as the Mighty Emotions method that I've created to kind of help you already have the step-by-step process of how you can set yourself up for success when it comes to goals in 2024 and achieving your goals. So if you want to check that out, the link is below. When it comes to our core needs, our primary core need as a human being is safety. That's the category of needs. It's not literally safety, but we do need safety, right? Safety is what sets us up for all the other needs that we need: the connection, the meaning, the fulfillment, the freedom, the play. We need to be safe in order to start taking steps forward. We need our basic needs to be met in a way in order for us to thrive. When we are safe, we're not in survival mode and we're able to kind of take steps forward. Now, how does that come into play with goal setting, right? Well, it's the same in goal setting that we need safety, we need support, we need structure. And that's why we create these plans and we use our schedules and our calendars and we create all of these things. We get a new planner at the beginning of the year, we decide our week's going to be like this and we're going to do this and we're going to adopt all these new habits, right? And those are really supportive and really, really good. The trouble is, how do we remain consistent with that? And safety comes into play there again. So, like I said, safety is the category of needs. It's not the need itself, right? It's not only safety, it's all the things under that umbrella. And two of those ways that safety manifests is in security and in support. So, when we are secure, we feel safe, that need gets met. But also, when we're supported and we're cared for in a way, that need is also being met. And this is where hard versus soft structure comes in. The hard structure is the security. It's this certainty. It's the here's the plan, here's the schedule. Hard structure can also be called masculine structure. It's that more rigid, fixed, firm kind of support. And we absolutely need that. So our calendar, our planner, whether that's a digital planner or a physical planner, right? That gives us that hard structure, that security. Having the plan, having the steps laid out for us, that gives us the security. And so typically this is how people goal set. They have the plan, they have the steps, they put it all in their calendar, and then they stick to it for a few weeks and then they fall off track, right? Again, I'm guilty of this. And so I've had to learn that it doesn't serve me to fight against that desire to move away from that rigid structure, right? It just allowed me to understand that what I was missing was the soft structure, right? And that is what supports us within the hard structure. So, with the hard structure being the calendar, for example, the soft structure would be our schedule, our daily schedule, right? Or maybe we have a rigid daily schedule, right? We have this routine, but how we execute that routine and how it manifests for us is the soft structure. And the soft structure is more malleable. There's more room for play. It allows us to do what feels most aligned for us and what's actually right for us. So it takes into account things like, when are you most energized? Are you more of a morning person or an evening person? It also takes into account, what other things do you need to work on, and when would it feel more spacious for you to do this thing for yourself? Because the reality is, we do have that masculine order to our day where there are responsibilities that we need to meet. And so when we're trying to implement something that, while it may be good, it's going to be in conflict with these other responsibilities. And if we just try to just jam it in there, it's going to be really difficult. We need to allow ourselves that nurturing side, that supportive side, to say, okay, when can I actually do this thing? And when we find the sweet spot in our day to actually do it, that is when we're going to actually be more consistent. That is when we're going to keep going for it. I'll use my husband as an example. He enjoys working out. He likes the benefits of working out, I'll say, but he was finding it difficult to do so at home. He was finding it difficult to find the right time to do it. And a new gym opened up near our place that's open 24/7. You just need a fob key. And he found the sweet spot in his day that works with all the other things that he has to do with taking care of our child and his job and all these other activities. He found the sweet spot that allows him to go really regularly and consistently. And other people are complimenting him, like, wow, you're actually going all the time. That's amazing. Well, yeah, he didn't just have the plan and say, this is it, I'm slotting it in here. There was that softer structure element of figuring out when would make the most sense, when would feel like there's the least pressure. If I decided it, I'm going to work out no matter what at 9 a.m., but I have work starting at 9 a.m., that's going to be a little bit tricky, right? And so it's the same with any goal that we have. We want to have the plan. We want to know, okay, here's what I want to accomplish. These are the things, these are the steps to accomplish that thing. But then we want to have the soft structure of, when am I going to accomplish it? How can I remove things? How can I move things around? What would feel most aligned, and how would it suit me the best? When I realized that I could combine these two forms of structure, that is when I started being much, much more consistent with my goals. When I realized that just because I said I wanted to work out 3 days a week and I only worked out 2 days a week, that can be okay. When I realize that I can give myself a little bit of room and a little bit of space if other things need to, take that space, and I gave myself that flexibility within the rigid structure, then I was able to remain consistent, right? And so that is the key to remaining consistent and setting yourself up for success. And in my Notion template, it's designed in this way that it breaks down for you. We're not just deciding on these goals for the year. We're not just saying, I'm doing this, this, and this. We're going to consider our needs. We're going to consider other things in our life. We're going to consider what kind of obstacles we might be faced with. And we're going to create our goals with all of that context in mind. We're not just going to be like, this is what I want to do no matter what, and have that rigid, difficult structure, because things are going to come up, life is going to happen. And are we going to be able to be flexible with that? And are the goals that we've set realistic to accommodate our circumstances, our life circumstances, our responsibilities, all of these things? We need the hard versus the soft structure, both to work in harmony together. It's the same with anything in our lives. It's holistic, right? So we don't want to just set these rigid goals and not leave any space for life to happen, and not to give ourselves consideration for ourselves. What is it that works best for me? What is it that feels good for me? And what is it that's going to allow me to actually get this done with all these other things in mind? Another way to look at masculine versus feminine structure, or hard versus soft structure, is in schedules versus habits, or routines versus habits, right? So you have a morning routine, you have an evening routine. These are the times of day that you set aside to maybe work on yourself or take care of yourself. That's the more hard structure. Then you have the more soft, supportive structure, where these are the things that you're going to do within that routine. These are the habits that you're going to have. So I wake up and I have a glass of water in the morning. That could be at 8 a.m., that could be at 10 a.m. It's all still part of that morning routine. It's just the order that you do it in, there's room to play there. There's flexibility there. I have my morning tasks, I have my evening tasks, and there's no rigidness to when I accomplish those tasks as long as it's within that window of time. So it's really good to look at when we're working toward our goals that we give ourselves a little bit of space and we give ourselves a window of time versus a rigid time. Now, of course, there's some things that need to be at a certain time. You clock in for work at a certain time, you need to leave your house at a certain time for your commute. And again, these things play together because once you know what those rigid kind of meeting times are, or you got to take your child to school or whatever it is, then the feminine soft structure is what you squeeze in around that and how you schedule things around that based on what would feel good. If doing a certain thing in the morning would feel rushed for you, if you'd feel stressed, if you'd feel pressure, then do it at a different time in the day, right? And you have the ability, you have permission to play within both of these things, but you do need both of them. You need the security and you need the support in order to achieve your goals. Think about a house, right? We live in a house, there are walls, there are doors, there are windows, there are ceilings, there are floors, all of the structure is there. That's the security. That's not moving, right? Within that, we create a home. We nurture, we create traditions, we create routines, we create a certain decor, and we give that house, that just plain structure, that rigid structure, we bring it to life, we cultivate it. It's the same with our goals, it's the same with anything else. We're always working with both of these things. Rather than resisting one, we realize that there's a way to play within it and work within it. And doing this has seriously helped me to achieve my goals. It has allowed me to first create a structure and then design how I'm going to execute things within that structure in a way that feels good for me day after day, week after week. Now, the last thing I'll say is remember the importance of momentum and motivation. A lot of times we are waiting for motivation to happen, and motivation is a match, right? So it's an unlit match, and the key to spark that flame is action. So you're not going to necessarily feel motivated to move toward your goal, even if you set the structure, even if you design it in a way that maybe feels the best for you. So it's about doing the first thing. It's about taking the first step. Like I said, I have a list of things that I want to accomplish in a morning routine. And sometimes I don't feel like doing one of those things. But when I start with something else, when I start with one of the smaller tasks on there, I get that motivation. I like that match. And then I have that momentum to keep moving forward. So remember to give yourself grace if you are struggling, if you don't feel like taking action. That's okay. Find the small thing that you could do, and then the next small thing, and then the next small thing. And that lights the match of motivation, and that allows you to just keep taking steps forward and building upon it. So I hope that this was really supportive for you. Let me know what you took away from this video in the comments below. Be sure to check out the Notion template. Like I said, there are tutorials in there for how to use this process to support you. And I really, really cannot wait to see the amazing things you accomplish in 2024 with compassion for yourself, by being gentle to yourself, and by giving yourself grace and space to be human.